Hey everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. Joe Lonsdale, one of Palantir's co-founders and one of the more outspoken ones in the media, had an interesting interview/article about him regarding Japan, which I speculate has clues for Palantir expanding their business. Most would overlook this without following Palantir closely, having the context, but I think it's a way for Palantir to start its diversification in Japan, which is crucial at this point in time. Now, there are two main drivers, one that has been around and the second more recently. So I covered the recent one regarding their main partner in Japan, Sompo, which is a large conglomerate there. They've done big work with them in regards to their insurance and sales side, but also on the nursing homes, which, if you're familiar with the demographic issues in Japan, is a hot topic today and in the future. Now, just working with them isn't the driver, but the recent scandal regarding Sompo's insurance president having to step down because of fraud with Big Motor. I covered this whole fraud in detail in my last weekly Palantir video, so check that out. But long story short, Big Motor was overcharging customers intentionally and even creating damage so that Sompo would pay more for claims. And even though they wouldn't want to pay for this, Sompo was aware of this and just pushed the higher costs onto their customers' premiums. So it's not a good look there, especially with the insurance president stepping down. Now, the second driver, which has been around, is China. We know they've been fighting for control of the South China Sea and even building out uninhabited islands, even though it was agreed upon that none of the South China Sea nations would be doing so. The Philippines also is having the same issue with China, and fishing blockades have been there, so they've been ramping up their military as well and the drills alongside the United States. So all on top of this is China's endless shouting match for Taiwan to belong to them, of course, go back and take over the island, but their military exercises do show that they are kind of serious about this, and Japan needs to be aware of it the whole time. And quick side note, Russia also doesn't have the best of relations with Japan too, with their fight for control over the northern islands, so it doesn't hurt to work with modernizing your military for non-China issues as well. But this article shows Joe Lonsdale sees an opportunity for defense, mainly because of this Chinese aggression. Now, my speculation is that it's another way to drive government business to Palantir in Japan because it could help diversify them away from relying on Sompo at the moment due to the scandal. Now, of course, that business is focused on the commercial side. But reading a little further, Joe basically talks about his plans in Japan that will be focusing on funding these startups in the defense industry there. And with the fund, they want to collaborate with Japanese companies, entrepreneurs, and engineers, mainly for this purpose. And specifically, it's in the cybersecurity and information side. But what I think ties this a little more to Palantir is his example of using drones and autonomous ships, creating swarms essentially, which have been highly utilized during the Russia-Ukraine war. Now, it's not a guarantee that Palantir is going to be involved in the future here and get deals, but if these defense startups are popping up in Japan or getting funding, and with the use cases already being demonstrated in Russia and Ukraine, who's to say that maybe some of them at least will build this infrastructure, being Palantir, and build on top of that and create their solutions? Now, in the end, this aligns closely with Joe's, but also Palantir's mission of defending the West and their allies, which Japan clearly is in the Pacific. And if they build out a similar program like, say, FedStart for the US, maybe Japan's military can start onboarding these smaller startups working alongside Palantir much more quickly, considering there'd be a peace of mind knowing the infrastructure is trusted by even the highest levels of security in the United States. Now remember, this is still speculation on my part, but it wouldn't be a huge jump in logic for Palantir to vie for the Japanese government's business, especially for the software in the background to run this new era of warfare and autonomous swarms. And for Palantir, the military is how they started, of course, and being so aligned with the US and their allies means that there's some level of comfort, at least for Japan, that the technology is not in their adversaries' hands as well, like China or Russia, who they would be having issues with. But what are your thoughts though on this? Let me know below, and thank you all, and to my channel members, and I'll see you in the next video.